Prime Minister, can I take you back to the issues around border checks, which discussed before, especially in the light of some of your earlier answers about wanting to get an agreement on the way forward, and also particularly talked about the potential for there being some common ground around customs. Are you still ruling out being part of the common external tariff?
As you know, the proposals that government put forward were proposals that would enable us to have as frictionless trade as possible with the European Union while being able to have our independent trade policy. That independent trade policy is within the political declaration. I believe that's very important. Part of that, obviously, there are different elements to an independent trade policy. Part of those are around issues like services. But we're very clear that if you're going to have trade agreements on goods, obviously the ability to vary tariffs in relation to that is an important part of that.
So does that mean you're saying you're still ruling out being in the common external tariff for goods?
Well, as you know, there are certain elements within the operations within the implementation period. There are certain references in the backstop to this issue. What I'm saying is that what the proposals that government actually put forward would enable us to, that we put forward over last summer, would enable us to ensure that we could operate a common external tariff for goods for the European Union, but also be able to vary tariffs for our own trade agreements with other parts of the world.
So are you relying then, you're going back to Chequers and to the customs partnership in Chequers, where effectively we collect the EU's tariffs, but they don't collect ours, and there's no way of collecting tariffs for, if we have differential tariffs for the goods that arrive to get here through Spain or Italy?
As I'm sure you're aware, in the political declaration, this is not something that has been, this element has not been agreed. There are the benefits of a customs union are in the political declaration in terms of the references to tariffs between us and quotas and so forth. But this wider question is one which is referenced with reference to the spectrum of actions that there are. Government has put forward a proposal that addresses this issue. There are negotiations to be had in relation to where we want to, obviously where we end up with the European Union. That's phase 2 of the negotiations. But the political declaration recognises the importance of an independent trade policy.
But this sounds like you're actually not shifting at all then around customs, because it sounds like you're still stuck on that same Chequers customs partnership that nobody from any side could see how it was workable in any way. Now, you know, you're the one that's talked about compromise, and I'm just sort of trying to see, basically, has nothing changed? Are we still stuck?
We are, if you're referencing the talks we're having with the official opposition, we are sitting down and talking with the official opposition about what both sides want to achieve in relation to customs. Obviously, issues around friction of trade at the border are not just about customs, they're about regulatory issues as well. We're sitting down and talking about what is it that we both want to achieve in relation to these issues. I think, actually, there is a greater commonality in terms of some of the benefits of a customs union that we've already identified between ourselves and the official opposition. We have, the political declaration makes clear about an independent trade policy. Actually, looking at the balance of these issues is part of the discussion. Can we come to an agreement on that? I hope we will be able to, but those discussions still continue.
But there's only 3 ways that have been put forward as ways of trying to achieve the benefits of a customs union. One is the customs partnership that you talked about as part of Chequers, that everybody says is completely unworkable because the EU will not collect our tariffs. Second is technology, and the Home Office policy document has said the challenges of this work cannot be underestimated. Current realisation in the UK is 2030. And the third is being part of a single customs territory, effectively being part of the common external tariff. So that's why I'm just still trying to get this clear. If there is really some potential for agreement on customs and getting the benefits of a customs union, then what is it that you're going to do? If you're still ruling out the common external tariff, you're still ruling out a customs union, and the technology isn't going to arrive until 2030, and the customs partnership just doesn't exist, it falls apart.
Well, first of all, obviously we are sitting down with the official opposition and discussing those matters with the official opposition. I don't accept completely the picture that you have set out. I know the reference you've made to technology, but an awful lot of work has been done on technology that is available at the borders, and the opportunity that the UK has, actually, I think there's an opportunity for the UK to be introducing ways of dealing with these issues at our borders that could be world-leading. And I think one of the problems with this debate has consistently been that very often it is framed in terms of existing models. And it is important for us to be looking at the new models that are available and that can be used in these areas. But it's also all too often framed in terms of existing language, which people take to mean certain things. Now, there's a legal definition in WTO of what a customs union is, for example, but often people will use the term customs union and have in their mind different things about what that achieves, which is why I say the important element of this is to actually be able to sit down and talk through what is it that we are all trying to achieve here.
Customs union, key elements of a customs union, common commercial policy and the common external tariff. So it sounds to me you are still absolutely ruling out being part of the common external tariff. Am I wrong?
If you look at the GATT 24, I think it's 24.8, it actually 8A, it actually has different elements of a customs union.
Okay, common external tariff. That's all I'm asking about. Common external tariff, in or out?
You're asking me about common external tariff, and what I'm saying is that we have set out, the government has set out in the discussions with the European Union, on the political declaration, the spectrum that is available in relation to these matters, that is for the further negotiation. This is one of the issues that has been raised in the discussions with the official opposition, and obviously there will be a point at which we will have determined whether it's possible to have a landing zone between us or not, in which case we move to the process I was asked about earlier, which is for the House to come to these decisions.
But it sounds like we're still stuck basically where we were almost a year ago. And it sounds like actually you're not really thinking any differently at all. You did talk about compromises, but it sounds like your version of compromise just means telling everybody else that you were right all along. No. What's the evidence that you're actually going to shift position? I mean, look, resilience is a strength, but stubbornness is a weakness. What is the evidence that you are actually on something as important as customs to manufacturing across the country, that you are actually prepared to properly make some changes?
Well, you ask what the evidence is on compromise. There are a number of areas on which we have shown our willingness to compromise in matters relating to the withdrawal agreement.
There are issues, but not on this one.
Well, first of all, you accused me of not being willing to compromise. I've pointed out that we have shown our willingness to compromise. On this particular issue of customs, what is important is that we are able to sit down and, if you like, tease out what the different elements of this is. It isn't sufficient simply to say there's one thing and that's it and that's not. Actually, there are different ways that we can approach this issue. We've already as a government been exploring those. And we haven't come to an agreement with the European Union. You're right on that point. The political declaration identifies a spectrum of opinion. We are sitting down and talking through with the official opposition what are the different elements of this and what is it we are trying to achieve. I think we both want to ensure what we have as I and my colleagues stood on our manifesto on a deep and close partnership with the European Union for the future. That's what we are aiming to achieve.
We feel like we're going round in circles, and everybody's feeling paralysed at the moment and like nothing is changing. When we've got something that is as important as the impact on manufacturing and so on, that you know has been such a source of disagreement between people in Parliament, I guess I'll just ask you a final time, are you ruling out any change to the government's position on customs?
What, with due respect, I'm trying to point out is that we are having discussions with the official opposition on a range of issues. I think it is important on all of those issues that we identify what it is that we are all trying to achieve. I think actually we are trying to achieve in this area something very similar, which is ensuring that we protect jobs. And we want to protect jobs. Government has negotiated, and it was hard fought in the political declaration, but we negotiated a willingness to accept that we should come together to see, to aim for as frictionless trade as possible between the UK and the European Union. How we achieve that has not been absolutely identified. So, first of all, we need to see what is it that will be agreed here in Parliament. Parliament has had an opportunity to vote for various things, including a customs union. It has not voted for that. So, we have to say, what is it that actually can be achieved that will get a majority in Parliament?
Prime Minister, I'm just really worried that if you don't shift on some of this stuff, we're just going to get stuck. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.